Paul before the syndrome forum. And Paul set his eyes on the council, and said, Men, brethren, even to this day I have walked before God with all good conscience. But the high priest, Ananias, he commanded them that were with him to strike him in the mouth. And Paul said unto him, God shall smite thee, a bleached wall. Thou art sitting here to judge me according to the law, and command me to hurt the law. And they that stood by said, Do you revile the high priest of God? And Paul said, I did not know, brethren, who was the high priest. For it is written, Thou shalt not speak evil of the prince of thy people. And Paul, knowing that one part was of Sadducees and another of Pharisees, he cried out in the council, Brothers, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead I am judged. And having said this, there was dissension between the Pharisees and Sadducees, and the multitude divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit. But the Pharisees recognize both. And there was a great cry, and the scribes stood up from the Pharisees, and contended, saying, We find no evil in this man, and if any spirit or angel has spoken to him, let us not strive against God. And when there was great dissension, the tribune, fearing that Paul was torn to pieces by them, sent down the soldiery, that they might take him out of the midst of them, and lead him to the fortress. And the next night, and the Lord appeared unto him, and said, Paul, be of good cheer, for as ye have testified of me in Jerusalem, so it is important that you also testify in Rome. Acts 23, 1-11. Dear brothers, Paul was in the Sanhedrin, where people were questioned, for judgment, as if it were our forum today. And Paul, looking upon the high priest Ananias, said, I have walked before God with all good conscience unto this day. Then Ananias the high priest set those on Paul's side to slap Paul's mouth. Paul looked at Ananias the priest, and said to him, Wall forward, do you use the law breaking the law of it? And they that were by his side said, You are disrespecting the high priest. That is, they could not challenge the ultimate authority of the Jewish religion. Paul said, I'm sorry, because I did not know that he is the high priest, because it is written, You will not speak evil of the religious authority. Paul, knowing that this judging commission was composed of two religious factions, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Paul, it was declared to all that he was of the line of the Pharisees, who believe in the resurrection, believe in the spirits, and believe in the angels. And the Sadducees do not believe in these questions. So, the two factions that were present began to argue among themselves. And they came to such great disagreement that they had to interrupt the meeting. And some Pharisees arose, and said, We find no harm in this man. And the commander feared that they would kill Paul, because the spirits were very exalted. He sent for security, and they took Paul away and took him to the maximum security prison. And the next night, Paul was in prison, and the Lord appeared to Paul, and said, Courage, for, so there was my testimony in Jerusalem, it is necessary to also give my witness in Rome.